Hi, everyone. I'm Tiffany Lee, and I am a math teacher at Northview Heights Secondary School. And today I'm going to be sharing some resources and ready to use lessons that you can use to incorporate social justice topics into your math classes. Before we get started, I would like to take the time to acknowledge the land we are on. We acknowledge we are hosted on the lands of the Mississaugas of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Wendat. We also recognize the enduring presence of all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. So, one of my goals this past school year was to incorporate more social justice topics into my math classes. And to be honest, I was kind of lost. I didn't know how to do so. So, I did what I always do. I went on Google and I typed in math and social justice. And fortunately, I came across Mr. Bergman's website. And I don't know who Mr. Bergman is, I've never met him. But this educator was kind enough to create this website and share a bunch of social justice discussion topics that you can use into specific math classes. So, for example, if you see in this picture down below, he shared some discussion topics for your grade 9 math class, grade 10, grade 11, and grade 12 math classes. I've hyperlinked his website here, so I will be sharing this Google slide with you, but you can access the website through this hyperlink or down below in the notes section. I'm going to just briefly go over his website. So once you click on his link, you can scroll down, and this is where he's uploaded all of his topics that you can use. And this past school year, I taught grade 12 advanced functions. So let's just explore that together. If you click on that, you'll be brought to this next page. And if you click on download, you'll get a chance to download your Word document. Let's just open that up. And here he has a bunch of possible questions that you can use in your classroom. So, for example, if you're teaching grade 12 advanced functions and you're talking about transformations of functions, he has a question here where it's a transform function is just a changed original function. Are you a transformation of yourself yesterday, a week ago, a year ago? What about a fetus? Are you a transformation of your parents or guardians, of your siblings, of someone else, and so on? So he has a wide range of questions that you can use to create these social justice discussion scenarios in your classes. So how did I do it in my class? I basically verbally asked the students and also posted the question on a Jamboard here. And I gave them a few minutes, probably around 5 minutes, to share their answer on a sticky note. I said it could be anonymous if they would like, or they can use their name as well. So I asked the same question about the transformation. So we're talking about transformation of functions that week. So I asked them this question. Are you a transformation of yourself yesterday, a week ago, and so on? So I think this was a good intro question to have your students kind of get a feel as to what type of questions are going to be asked during these social justice discussions. As we moved on, this one was about our trigonometry unit. So taking a look at periodic functions. So with periodic functions, I asked them this question, and this question also came from Mr. Bergman's resource, where it was, is history periodic? Does history repeat itself? Both sides, war, oppression versus technology and rights. Is your life periodic? Everything from food to mood to work and happiness. And this was a really good discussion. is history periodic? And as you can take a look at some of my students' answers, they talked about wars. So, for example, one good example of how history repeats itself is by the world wars. We had 2 wars, and not long ago there was a threat that almost resulted in a 3rd war. So we talked about wars happening, and we also talked about prison camps, how there's still some prison camps going on. And I'm not like a history major. I try to, stay up to date with world news and events. But it can definitely be intimidating in having these conversations with your students. So what I learned from this is, the thing is, it's giving the students a voice, and being able to learn from one another and give them a platform to talk about these social justice issues. So that's what I really liked about asking these questions. And I would ask these questions in the beginning of class, before moving on to our actual, or I wouldn't say actual, but moving on to our lesson of the day. Another question that I liked asking the students was this one. And this related to division, polynomial division. And the question was, dividing is about splitting things up into equal groups. What is or isn't divided even in the world? Is this fair? So what I'm also trying to get at is, we're relating the topics that we're learning in math class to social justice issues, right? So I'm teaching them division of polynomials. Then we're relating that to, okay, dividing is about splitting things up into equal groups, and then talk about, equality. Are things divided evenly in the world, right? Going back to this one, trigonometry, periodic functions, then we relate that to, is history periodic? And so on. So there is that connection here. So just taking a look at some of our students' answers, they talked about people, power, land, privileges, money, and so on. So it's up to you as to how comfortable you are. If you want to, stick to doing this on a Jamboard. But what I did was, I gave them a few minutes to share their answers on a Jamboard, and then asked them if any of them wanted to unmute and share their answers and their thoughts and opinions. So definitely check out Mr. Bergman's resources. If you're teaching any of these grade levels, you can download his resource. And you can obviously modify it too. Next up, another resource I would like to share with you is the New York Times Learning Network. So I'm going to guide you through this website. Once again, I've hyperlinked the website, and it is also in the notes section down below. So the New York Times, the Learning Network here, what you can do, you can obviously browse their main page. But what I like to do is I go here. So resources for teachers. I click on that. And then you are brought to this page, and you can choose your subject area. So obviously I'm going to click on science and math. And here it has like the latest articles and so on. So lesson of the day, the math of ending the pandemic, exponential growth and decay, right? So if you're teaching exponential growth and decay, this is a great article for you to use. Now, they do over here. So if we're wanting to, focus on social justice topics, they do have a collection of graphs that discuss inequality. which is here, a lesson plan for learning with our collection of inequality graphs. And this one here, I've also hyperlinked them down in our Google Slides here, so you can take a look there. But I did this recently in my summer school classes. But anyways, we can take a look at a collection here. Right, so they have a bunch of articles, and you can, look through them, see if there's a graph that you like and you want to talk about it with your students, right? And you can ask them the questions, the guiding questions of like, what do you notice? What do you wonder? And this is really good in, it's talking about inequality, and it's also teaching them how to read a graph, right? So let's say if you want to look for another topic though, say you're teaching students linear relations. So you can go up here. So there's latest, and then there's a search bar here. Let's say linear. And then you have a bunch of graphs here. And a good one, so the good thing too is some of them already have lesson plans ready for you to use. So let's take a look at this one. Gas or electric? Thinking algebraically about car costs, emissions, and trade-offs. So it talks about the y equals mx plus b. Anyway, so if you scroll down, it does link you to the actual article. So you can click on that, you can read it yourself, or you can share it with your students and so on. There's a lot of information here. Now, most importantly, we always want those ready-to-use worksheets and lesson plans, and they do that for us. So here, note to teachers, this lesson plan is available as a PDF for students. So definitely, look for those with the lesson plans ready to use. So if you click on that, you can download and save this PDF, right? Which car do you believe costs more to buy, and so on. And then there's also like equations that they need to solve for, some data, and so on, graphs. So, look through an article, look for a topic that you want to talk about, and then most likely there'll be a lesson plan ready for you to use. I'm going to also talk about this one. So this is a book. I've also hyperlinked the book for you if you want to purchase it. I'm not a spokesperson for this book, but how I found out about it, and I did buy it, was when I attended this past year's OAME conference, and I saw Robert Barry speak. And Robert Barry is one of the authors of this book, and there's a bunch of other educators that have contributed to this. And it's called High School Mathematics Lessons to Explore, Understand, and Respond to Social Injustice. He does, or the book, do have free downloadable resources. I've hyperlinked it as well. But obviously, the book goes into more detail. It does provide you with, like step-by-step as to how to deliver the lesson. What are some questions that you can ask your students? What are some things that you need to take into consideration as well? Now, before you, purchase the book, the content or the topics that are talked about in this book is number and quantity, algebra and functions, statistics and probability, and geometry. I'm going to show you the free downloadable resources, but once again, the book does go into a bit more detail in helping you and guiding you on how to deliver these specific lessons. Now, I just recently purchased this book. I'm still going through it. And this upcoming year, these are some potential activities that I saw in the book that I would like to use. One of them is called Do Just Some Students Take Honor Courses, and Investigating the Wage Gap, Race and Gender. So for example, let's take a look at this one, Investigating the Wage Gap, Race and Gender. if we go to the free downloadable resource link, and I think that was 6.4. So you just go to chapter 6 and lesson 6.4. If you click on that, they have the worksheet ready for you, right? So you can click on these links. They also have a video for you that you can watch and share with your students. But there you go. You have a worksheet ready for you to use. Obviously, like, go through it, see if this is what you want to talk about, if this relates to what you're teaching them, and so on. But yeah, so you can obviously check out their free resources first before purchasing it, and see if this is something that you might be interested in. I'm going to quickly go over a few more resources, actually just two more. One of them is Citizen Math, and I haven't used this in my classroom yet. I just recently found out about this website, and it used to be called Mathalicious. So if you know of Mathalicious, this is the same thing. And basically, like it says on the website, when learning connects your students to the world, they develop critical thinking skills that enhances their success in life and in class. Welcome to the world of Citizen Math. So if you scroll down and you click on Browse All Lessons, these are all the lessons that they have. And as you can see, some of them are locked and you do need to create an account. And I think there's like a subscription, or you do have to pay for it or something. But I love free things, and I'm sure you love free things. So you can click on the side here, show only free lessons. And they have 6 lessons so far, which isn't bad. And it has the topic here, right? So if you want to teach your students about positive and negative integers, then take a look at this one. If you're talking about ratios and proportions, take a look at this one. So let's say, for example, how dangerous is texting and driving? You can click on that and scroll down, and there you go. You have these 2 handouts. So you have a student handout and you have a teacher guide as well for you, right? So the teacher guide tells you how to, facilitate this lesson. And then you have a student handout worksheet that you can do with your students, right? So you can talk about the dangers of texting and driving. There's also homelessness, opioids, overdoses, right? And lastly, Musella. So, sorry, let me just get to that next slide. Musella, so if you're looking for articles, news articles, to kind of help you understand what's going on in the world, and to also help your students understand what's going on in the world, and a reliable resource, a reliable source, then definitely check out musella.com. And basically what they've done is they take actual news articles, but you can adjust it to specific reading levels, which are great, which can be great for, say, like your ELLs, or just whatever your students' literacy skills or literacy levels are at. So, for example, like what's going on in Afghanistan right now, the climate change report, you can take a look at that one. So here it does tell you where the actual article came from, and recommended, so for middle school to high school, and the text level. So right now it is currently on the max text level, but you can change that, right? So the lower the number, the lower the level, right? So we can click on 490L, right? And then it just changes the article. It doesn't change it, but just the literacy level goes down a bit, right? And also, another great thing about this is, let's say if you want to print it, you have options. Do you want to print just the article or the article and quiz? an article, quiz, and answers if you kind of, want to make sure that your students have read it or so on. But anyways, so let's say you want to talk about climate change, global warming, right? And before you do something related to that topic and related to math, you kind of need to talk about what the climate report talked about or what's happening with global warming, right? So you can go on Usella, find an article related to that, and then read it together with your class. You can obviously search certain things, so they have some suggestions for you as well. Anyways, that is it. I hope this helped you. Please take a look at these resources, and the best thing is most of them are for free. All right. Good luck with the upcoming school year, and I'll see you all later. Bye.